All right, hey guys. I did say I wouldn't be doing too many winter videos this early on, but this is your first winter hint video of the season of the winter of 2025, 2026, and we're gonna take a look at the GMSTEC long range seasonal model for that, and we're gonna take a look at fall, September through November, because again, fall is the precursor to winter, so to speak. It precedes winter. So what we do have, just off the model, fresh off the hot latest May run of the model, we have a La Nina. That's interesting because that wasn't forecasted about 2 to 3 months ago, but now it is. So models are picking up on the potential of a La Nina to develop. So this is kind of late, fresh news. The models just picked up on this. This isn't like this wasn't forecasted 2 months ago. Let's take a look at our 2-meter air temperature anomalies. So my logical conclusion as to why this is so hot for fall is because the La Nina seems to be centered pretty far south. It's not a major one where it's extending its cooler waters near the Yucatan of Mexico and whatnot. I'm sorry, not the Yucatan, the what do you call it? That peninsula on the western edge of Mexico, right in the northwestern part of Mexico, but it's really confined to a small area here. So in other words, it just seems really, really far from the USA. So any cool influence, according to this model, that this run would have, it just wouldn't affect the United States much. So I get why this has a very warm look. But also keep in mind, models flip and flop all the time. And remember last December and January, how they were forecasted warm for I would say about at least 10 to 15 days before the months happened. And then as soon as the months came around, like the first of each month, they turned cold. It was kind of freaky weird, but it was fun seeing that happen because I do like cold and snow in the winter. But here is your September through November sea surface temperature anomalies with that La Nina right in the central Pacific Ocean. And don't quote me on this, but I believe if you get waters coolest, even in a La Nina in the central Pacific Ocean, that leads to your coolest type of La Nina in terms of weather for the USA, because I know that for a fact that does apply to the El Nino. Actually, I'm sorry, I take that back. That's when the warmest waters are in the Central Pacific. So nevertheless, that doesn't apply to the La Nina as far as I know, just the El Nino. Let us take a look at our precip anomalies for fall. Again, we see a lot of dry air shifting from where it was in the summer in the Midwest and Tornado Alley to the east a little bit. So, take this for a grain of salt, but it is what the model is showing for September through November. So I can't draw anything conclusive based off that, except that you might see some drought developing in these areas. Also, the other thing I want to point out is it doesn't look too significant in terms of this would be hurricane season from September through November. It doesn't look like there's a lot of precip, but again, take that with a grain of salt because all you need is 1 or 2 major storms to come up and cause havoc on the coasts and a lot of devastation. So don't take this as a forecast per se. But sometimes you'll see even a lot of green here in the forecast, and you won't see a big hurricane or two. It just kind of happens that way sometimes. Just like we were talking about with last winter, how it was forecasted to be a blowtorch warm January and December, and yet they were cold. So it just there's a bunch of different things going on with the atmosphere and the weather models and how they pick up that information and whatnot. Last but not least, let's take a look at our sea surface temperature anomalies, rather. And again, we see that La Nina, we see a cold PDO. I hesitate to say that because it almost looks warm with the overwhelming extensiveness of the warmth in the Pacific, but this does essentially still embody a cold PDO where you have a horseshoe of cold around it, but that's not really a horseshoe of cold around it because it's kind of just one blob of warmth all around. So that's iffy. It looks like almost a warm PDO to me. AMO looks warm. Again, where you have warm, cold, and warm. So in other words, warm in the north, neutral or cold. In this case, neutral to the central Atlantic and warm to the south. So again, let's take a look also at NOAA's seasonal forecast. And then we're going to take a look at some of Weatherbell's models and close off this video. But let's take a look at December, January, and February, our temperatures. And this is their run from, trying to find when this was issued. Cannot find it. But nevertheless, this is their most recent forecast. And again, the core of the cold here is in the northwest. That's been a common theme for their forecast and for the past, I would say, 2 to 3 years. And kind of the same thing for the eastern seaboard and the southwest. But again, take that with a grain of salt too. Not to sound like a broken record, but these models will change like heck over the next 2 to 3 to 4 months. So yeah, take these all for a grain of salt. I'm just giving you my 2 cents on them. Let's take a look at the, let's do the CANSIP seasonal. That's always a fun model because it doesn't always blowtorch the nation for seasons. Let's take a look at our seasonal temperature anomalies. And we're going to go, unfortunately, this is the May run, so we're not going to take a look at this because we've looked at that before. We are going to take a look at the European seasonal because that's May 1st too. There was one that was recent. Let me try to find that. I was looking at these models the other day. Let's take a look at the European seasonal. Nope, that's not it either. Come on, I have to pick one lucky one here. Let's see the CFS V2 extended, GFS extended. Let's take a look at the CFS V2 seasonal. Okay, there it is. This is actually a run from today, so very new run here. Let's take a look at our seasonal temperature anomaly, and we're going to fast forward to winter if it will allow us here. Let's see. Okay, and it won't. So we're going to conclude with its summer forecast, which is June, July, and August. Here's our CFS model, and it's forecasting a cooler summer as opposed to the Jamstack weather model, which is forecasting a very hot summer. So again, models are all over the place. You can't rely on models for not just everything, but nearly, it's like 10% of what you actually can rely on. A lot of it is just kind of you're going with your gut and also using the other factors out there like the NAO, etc. So, all right, guys, that is my winter hint for our upcoming winter of 2025-2026. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a great night or day, whichever time you watch this. And if you like this video, give me a like, subscribe, and share my content, and more long-range weather content to come. Thanks, and have a great day. Bye-bye.